The vanishing. The first Korath ships appeared over Earth's major cities on a clear autumn morning in 2189. Humanity had just celebrated 2 decades of Mars colonization and the successful mining operations on Europa. The massive obsidian vessels seemed to materialize from nowhere, their hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it. They hovered silently, making no attempt at communication. Admiral Sophia Chen was finishing her morning coffee in Orbital Defense Command when proximity alarms blared across every terminal. Her cup shattered on the floor as she rushed to the primary sensor array. Status report. She barked, eyes darting across the holographic display showing hundreds of unknown vessels now in low Earth orbit. Unknown contacts, Admiral. Lieutenant Park responded, his voice steady despite the sweat beading on his forehead. They appeared simultaneously over every major population center. No approach vector detected. They just arrived. Chen activated the Global Defense Network. All stations, Combat Readiness Alpha. This is not a drill. For 6 hours, Earth waited. Global leaders convened an emergency session while military forces worldwide mobilized. Scientists attempted every conceivable method of communication. The ships remained silent. When the Korath finally spoke, it was through every electronic device on the planet simultaneously. Their message was simple and devastating. Your world has resources we require. Your species is inefficient in their utilization. You will be removed. The attack began without further warning. The Korath deployed weapons unlike anything humans had encountered. Gravity distortion fields that crushed military installations, particle beams that reduced cities to ash, and atmospheric processors that began altering Earth's very composition. Admiral Chen directed Earth's defense from the Lunar Command Base. She watched helplessly as humanity's most advanced weapons proved useless against Korath shields. Nuclear weapons detonated harmlessly against their hulls. Kinetic orbital platforms were disabled before they could fire. Madam President, Chen said grimly during an emergency briefing, conventional defense is impossible. They're not just more advanced. They're operating on principles our science doesn't understand. President Alvarez nodded gravely. Then we activate Contingency Omega. The room fell silent. Contingency Omega had been developed after the first confirmed detection of alien signals 20 years earlier. A last resort protocol if humanity faced extinction-level contact. You're certain? Chen asked. Earth is lost, Alvarez replied, her voice breaking. But humanity must survive. Within hours, the secret was revealed to the world's remaining leadership. For 15 years, 7 massive colony ships had been constructed in hidden facilities beneath the lunar surface. Each vessel was designed to carry 50,000 humans in stasis, along with genetic material from Earth's biosphere, cultural archives, and everything needed to establish a self-sustaining colony on a habitable world beyond our solar system. The original plan called for a carefully selected cross-section of humanity: scientists, engineers, artists, and teachers. But with Earth falling rapidly, selection became chaotic. Anyone who could reach the evacuation points might have a chance. Commander Elena Reyes directed evacuation operations from what remained of Geneva Command, a former Special Forces operative now leading Earth's last unified military response. She coordinated the desperate flights of transport vessels to lunar launch facilities, while ground forces fought hopeless delaying actions worldwide. We need another 12 hours for full evacuation, Reyes reported to Chen. Her uniform was torn and blood-stained. 3 days without sleep had left dark circles under her eyes, but her gaze remained steady. Ground teams are setting up final defensive positions around the remaining evac zones. You've done the impossible already, Chen replied. The 6th colony ship is preparing for departure. The 7th is at 78% capacity. Reyes nodded. We'll hold as long as we can. For Earth. For the next 10 hours, the remnants of Earth's military forces made their final stand. Soldiers from former enemy nations fought side by side. Civilian volunteers joined military units. Every functional weapon, from hypersonic missiles to hunting rifles, was deployed against the Corinth ground forces. In Brisbane, the last Australian Defence Force battalion held a perimeter around 4,000 civilians for 6 hours before being overrun. In Kenya, a combined African Union force used modified mining explosives to collapse a mountain pass, buying time for 3 transport shuttles to escape. Outside Moscow, a teenage hacker managed to temporarily disable a Corinth walker by infiltrating its communication systems, allowing hundreds of people to reach evacuation transports. Commander Rise led the final defense of the Geneva evacuation zone personally. Her team had rigged the entire city's power grid to overload on command, creating an electromagnetic pulse that might temporarily blind Corinth systems. Last transport is away, her communications officer reported as Corinth forces breached the outer perimeter. Luna confirms receipt. Colony Ship 7 is preparing for departure. Rise took a deep breath and looked at the faces of her remaining team, soldiers from 24 nations who had chosen to stay behind. It's been an honor. For Earth. She pressed the detonator. The electromagnetic pulse temporarily disrupted Corinth's sensors across half of Europe, buying precious minutes for the final colony ship to break lunar orbit and activate its experimental faster-than-light drive. One by one, the 7 ships disappeared into the darkness between stars, carrying with them humanity's last hope. On the lunar command base, Admiral Chen watched the confirmation signals with a mixture of relief and despair. Earth was visible through the viewport, vast sections of it now darkened or burning. All ships away, her executive officer confirmed. Tracking signals normal. FTL signatures stable. Chen nodded. Initiate Luna protocol finally. Throughout the lunar base, data cores were systematically wiped. Navigation coordinates for the colony ship's destination were deleted from all systems. The base's reactor was set to overload. It's been an honor serving with you all, Chen said to her remaining staff. Humanity will not end here. We've sent our children to the stars. Now we ensure they have time to get away. The Corinth ships detected the power surge too late. The lunar base's reactors detonated in a massive explosion that temporarily blinded Corinth sensors throughout the solar system. By the time they recovered, the colony ships had vanished beyond detection range. The Corinth Supreme Commander, observing from the flagship, received confirmation that organized human resistance had ceased. After thorough scans detected no further large-scale human life signs or technology signatures, the invasion was declared complete. Species extinction achieved, the report stated coldly. Planet secured for Phase 2 terraforming. The Corinth began their work, reshaping Earth for their own purposes, unaware that humanity had escaped and would one day return. On Colony Ship 1, designated Harbinger, Dr. Eliza Castillo monitored the vital signs of 50,000 humans in stasis. As chief medical officer, she was one of only 20 crew members who would remain awake during the first decade of their journey. FTL transition complete, Captain Rajiv Mehta announced from the bridge. All systems stable. We're on course for Kepler 442 bits. How long? Eliza asked. 73 years at current velocity, Rajiv replied. The other ships are maintaining formation. No sign of pursuit. Eliza placed her hand against a stasis pod containing a sleeping 6-year-old girl. Then we have work to do. We need to be ready when they wake up. Ready for what? Asked Rajiv. To build a new civilization, Eliza replied. And someday, to take back what was stolen from us. Deep in stasis, 350,000 humans dreamed of Earth while traveling through the void between stars. They carried within them not just humanity's genetic legacy, but its unquenchable spirit, a spirit that would one day return to reclaim its home. And on Earth, something the Corinth didn't expect was happening. In the deepest mines of South Africa, in submarine bases beneath the Pacific, and in hardened military bunkers under the Himalayas, small groups of humans had survived. Cut off from each other, unable to communicate, they began the long, desperate struggle to endure under alien occupation. Humanity was not extinct. It was merely scattered, adapting and waiting for the right moment to rise again. The reckoning. 300 years passed. On Novus Prime, the fourth planet orbiting Kepler 442, a civilization rose from the seeds of Earth. The 7 colony ships had arrived safely after their long journey, establishing settlement sites across the most habitable continent. The planet was more challenging than Earth, stronger gravity, longer days, and a biosphere that required careful adaptation. But humanity persevered. Director Maya Chen stood at the observation platform overlooking Capital City, watching the morning light illuminate a metropolis of 7 million humans. As head of the Reclamation Initiative, she carried both the blood and burden of her ancestor, Admiral Sophia Chen, whose name was now taught to every schoolchild as one of humanity's greatest heroes. Director, her aide Julian called from behind her. The council is assembling. Maya nodded, taking one last look at the city, at the towering spires of phase-shifted materials that could partially exist outside normal space-time, at the gravity manipulation vehicles moving silently between buildings, at the atmospheric shields that protected the city from Novus Prime's occasional methane storms. This was not Earth, but humans had made it home. And now they were ready to look back. In the Grand Council chamber, representatives from all 7 original colony settlements gathered. 3 centuries of separate development had created distinct cultural identities, but all shared a common heritage and purpose that transcended their differences. The Pathfinder has returned, Maya announced without preamble. The room fell silent. The reconnaissance vessel had been gone for nearly 2 years on a mission that many had considered impossible, the first return to the solar system since the Exodus. Dr. Leon Taylor, the Pathfinder's science officer, stepped forward. His uniform bore the patches of all 7 colonies, symbolizing the unified mission. The holographic display activated, showing the first images of Earth seen by human eyes in 3 centuries. A collective gasp filled the chamber. Earth was recognizable but transformed. The continents remained, but vast sections had been reshaped. Massive hexagonal structures covered what had once been Europe. The Amazon basin had been converted to something resembling industrial processing centers. The atmosphere glowed with an unnatural bluish tinge. Earth remains under Korith control, Leon explained, but not as we feared. Our observations suggest the Korith Empire has contracted significantly over the past century. Earth appears to be a relatively minor outpost now, with an estimated Korith population of less than 10 million concentrated in these regions. The display highlighted several areas of intensive development. Their technology has advanced, Leon continued, but not at the exponential rate we projected. In fact, in several key areas, particularly quantum manipulation and phase shift technology, our development has outpaced theirs. Murmurs spread through the chamber. For centuries, humans had assumed the Korith remained untouchably advanced. This new information changed everything. There's more, Leon said, his voice tightening with emotion. We detected these energy signatures in the Himalayan region. The display shifted, showing power readings from deep underground. These are fusion reactors, Maya said, studying the patterns. But the design signature is human. Yes, Leon confirmed. We established limited communication using old Earth encryption protocols. Director Chen, humanity never fully left Earth. There are survivors, tens of thousands of them, living in underground complexes and hidden enclaves. For 300 years, they've been fighting a guerrilla war against the Korith. They call themselves the Earthbound. The council erupted in shocked exclamations. The possibility of human survival on Earth had been debated for generations, but most believed it scientifically impossible given the Korith's thorough purge and subsequent terraforming. Admiral Kai Rivera, head of Novus Prime's defense force, stepped forward. What's their situation? Their capabilities. They've developed remarkable adaptive technologies using salvaged Korith components, Leon explained. They can move undetected through Korath security systems and have established a global communication network the Korath haven't detected. But they're limited in resources and numbers. They estimate their total population at approximately 70,000 spread across 12 major underground complexes. Maya studied the data, mind racing with implications. They'd survived against impossible odds. Imagine what we could accomplish together. The council deliberated for 3 days. The revelation demanded a complete reassessment of the Reclamation Initiative's timeline and strategy. What had been planned as a potential project for future generations suddenly became an immediate possibility. On the 4th day, Maya presented the integrated plan to the council. Operation Homecoming, she announced, a 3-phase mission to liberate Earth and re-establish humanity's presence on our ancestral home. The holographic display showed the deployment of Novus Prime's most advanced vessels, ships capable of interstellar travel in weeks rather than decades, equipped with weapons and defense systems incorporating 3 centuries of human innovation. "We are not the refugees who fled Earth," Maya said. "We are their descendants, born on a harsher world, tested by challenges they couldn't imagine. We've developed technologies the Korath have never encountered. And most importantly, we have something they could never understand: the unbreakable human spirit that survived both exile and occupation." The council voted unanimously to approve Operation Homecoming. Preparation began immediately. 6 months later, the Vanguard fleet departed Novus Prime. 30 ships, each carrying specialized personnel and equipment, began the journey to Earth. Maya Chen commanded the flagship Redemption, a vessel incorporating the most advanced technology humans had developed on Novus Prime. As the fleet prepared for its final faster-than-light jump into the solar system, Maya addressed the combined forces. 300 years ago, the Korath believed they had extinguished humanity. They were wrong. Today, we return not just to reclaim our homeworld, but to demonstrate that the human spirit cannot be broken. Earth has waited for us. The Earthbound have kept the flame of resistance burning. Now we bring the fire. The fleet emerged at the edge of the solar system, immediately deploying stealth field generators that rendered them invisible to Korath sensors. Advanced reconnaissance drones scattered throughout the system, gathering intelligence and establishing secure communication with Earthbound resistance leaders. Commander Elias Reyes, a direct descendant of Elena Reyes who had led Earth's final defense, coordinated with the Earthbound from his underground command center in what had once been Nepal. "Your arrival has been the dream of generations," he told Maya during their first secure communication. The resemblance to his ancestor was striking. The same determined eyes, the same unwavering resolve. "We've been preparing for this moment since the fall." "How have you survived?" Maya asked. "All our models suggested. Humans adapt." Elias interrupted with a grim smile. "When the Korath thought they'd eliminated all organized resistance, small groups remained hidden. We learned their patterns, their weaknesses. We built our world beneath theirs. We watched and waited." The combined intelligence from orbital reconnaissance and Earthbound intelligence revealed a crucial vulnerability. The Korath had become complacent after centuries of unchallenged control. Their garrison forces were minimal, their defensive systems focused outward toward space, rather than monitoring the seemingly pacified Earth. Most significantly, the majority of their command and control systems were centralized in what had once been Geneva, now the primary Korath administrative center for Earth operations. The plan came together with elegant precision. While the Novus Prime fleet positioned itself for orbital strikes against key Korath facilities, Earthbound resistance forces would simultaneously disable crucial infrastructure systems they had infiltrated over generations. The attack began at dawn, Geneva time. Orbital defense platforms, the Korath's first line of protection, suddenly went dark as Earthbound operatives activated dormant viruses they had planted in the systems years earlier. Before the Korath could respond, precision strikes from phase-shifted Novus Prime vessels destroyed their communication arrays. On the ground, Earthbound forces emerged from hidden entrances, Equipped with weapons incorporating both salvaged Korith technology and innovations shared from Novus Prime, they'd moved with the confidence of fighters who knew every centimeter of their territory, neutralizing confused Korith response teams before they could organize. From orbit, Maya watched the operation unfold. "Atmospheric processors disabled," reported her tactical officer. "Ground teams have secured primary targets in all major Korith settlements. Resistance is fragmented and uncoordinated." The Korith had never faced a coordinated attack on this scale. Their remaining ships attempted to rally, but centuries of complacency had left them unprepared for the advanced weapons deployed by the Novus Prime fleet. Quantum phase torpedoes bypassed their shields entirely. Gravity manipulation fields disabled their propulsion systems. Within 18 hours, the primary Korith command structure had collapsed. Isolated garrisons found themselves surrounded by humans emerging from hidden bases and bunkers worldwide. Humans using weapons that matched or exceeded their own. In Geneva, Maya Chen and Elias Reyes met in person as Novus Prime forces secured the former Korith headquarters. 3 centuries of separation disappeared as they clasped hands, the descendants of those who left and those who stayed, united in humanity's return. "Your ancestors would be proud," Maya said, looking out over Lake Geneva, its waters still bearing the unnatural blue tinge of Korith terraforming. "As would yours," Elias replied. "They saved our species. We kept the faith." The Korith resistance crumbled within days. Their remaining forces retreated to a final stronghold in what had once been Australia's outback. When surrounded by the combined human forces, their commander requested terms.